Hello, you're back with Beatle. We are back on Survivor IO. As the chapters are getting increasingly more difficult, I thought I would just start to do some sort of chapter guides and walkthroughs. So this episode, we're going to be going through chapter 17, just to show you exactly what my character is, the equipment, loadout, and levels. Here he is. So level 57 Epic Kunai is what I'll be using. Everything else is around 55, 57 Eternal Boots. Got 3 of these epics. And my hero himself is level 55 of 60. I don't know if I can upgrade that. No, I've not quite got enough gold. But that is who my character is, and we're just going to be jumping straight into Wasteland Town, Chapter 17, to see if we can complete it, and if so, a bit of a guide on what's best to do it, the best weapons, etc. So starting off, we will get the drone. I think Destroyer is always going to be a good one to use. Also good to see that the map is just a square map. I'm not too sure if this makes it harder then a full sort of 360 open map or not. We'll get the brick, because that's always a bit of a good one. I think it just means, well, let's get the experience game whilst we've got that. We can get the Evo of the Kunai there as well, and we'll get the Molotov. So the square maps, I think it's just important to bear in mind. I'm going to get the energy cube here, that the enemies are going to be more grouped together. I'll get the attack there. And I'm just trying to get the white drone so I can get the destroyer. So the enemies are going to be more grouped together than if it is an open world map here. I don't really want any of those. I will refresh. And I might as well upgrade the drone there, as I'm still waiting for the other one. Unfortunately, none of these are actually ideal, but I'll get the laser launcher. To be fair, this map is probably the best map for the laser launcher. Finally, we actually get the Type B drone there as well. And just because, as I say, the enemies are a bit more grouped together, so the sort of group damage is always going to be worthwhile. That's why the Molotov is very good, as well as the destroyer, just because the enemies are so sort of compact and close together. We'll upgrade the drone there. May as well get the laser launcher upgraded. It doubles the damage. The laser launcher I've never really had much luck with, I suppose, in it doing very well. I'm not a really big fan of it. I think the actual attack takes so long. I'll get the drone there to actually sort of do its attack on the enemies. They're already dead by the time the energy launcher actually gets them. We'll just upgrade the kunai here. So I never really find that the energy launcher does much damage. Wow, we're leveling up absolutely rapidly here. You know, I'm actually going to get the Koga Ninja Scroll just to get a bit more experience gain right at the start of the chapter. Is always a bit worthwhile. Here we'll get the Molotov. Absolutely flying up with these level ups. I always find as soon as you get the gold gems early on, you absolutely fly up in the level ups. Just a bit of an elite Scorpion, but he died quite easy there, to be fair. So I think that's probably just down to the fact of the kunai being a very strong weapon, and then we get the Molotov in the elite's little chest. We'll get the Molotov there. Absolutely loads of level ups. I'm not sure why there's so many on the floor. We'll get the kunai there as well. We're actually really close to being able to Evo upgrade the kunai, just one more level, as we've already got the scroll. Let's get the laser launcher there to level 3. It'll be interesting to see if I can actually get this laser launcher to do any sort of decent damage. It's always sort of single percent in terms of the damage that it does. Molotov there to level 5, so if we can get that oil bond, I think it is, the gold gain, then we can get that to Evo as well. Here we'll get the Type A drones, still working on getting the destroyer. I think in terms of the build that I've got, this is what you want to try and be getting in terms of the weapons. Obviously, I don't actually include the laser launcher in that. We'll get the kunai there, so next level up we should be able to get the Spirit Shuriken and get the Evo upgrade of that. We'll just get the magnet here, and hopefully that will actually give us the level up. There it is, Spirit Shuriken, in and out like a ghost, and that is pretty much game for the next 10 minutes whilst that is doing a lot. Here's the oil bond, gold gain plus 8%, so we'll get that and hopefully be able to get the Evo upgrade of the Molotov in our next level up as well. We don't get it, but we'll get the Type A drone. First boss assault at the 2-minute mark, so I think this is an 8-minute stage if I am not wrong. I'm hoping this boss goes down really quickly with our Spirit Shuriken, and it does. Get the chest. Okay, there is the Evo of the Molotov, the fuel barrel, I think it is. Yeah, Scorched Earth Policy, and we get 2 other nice upgrades from that as well, and then we'll get the brick. So I think the fuel barrel is a very good weapon for these types of square stages, just because the enemies are so grouped together. As you can see, the fuel barrel just does so much damage total, and just because it's sort of a full 360-degree weapon, between that and the destroyer and even the Spirit Shuriken, enemies just can't really get close to you. So if you are struggling, try the fuel barrel. I would definitely recommend to put the tech part on the fuel barrel as well. It is a very good upgrade. It just means that the fire is bigger, so there's just a bigger area of effect for the damage to affect each enemy as well. Just an elite running at me again as well, but he died really quickly, and we'll get on the lucky train trying to get the Evo of the laser launcher. Have we got 5 upgrades here? I think it might be. There it is. So yeah, brick to level 5, drone to level 5, laser launcher to 5, and the energy cube, which will help everything out. And there it is, the destroyer just this range from above, so pretty much now we're untouchable, I would say, between all the weapons that I've got. We'll get the death ray there as well. We're in the Matrix now. That is the laser launcher Evo upgrade, but as you can see, the attack just sort of takes so long to come down that everything is already dead in the sort of area that it is. I think you'd have to try and sort of get in amongst the enemies and even take some damage for that to actually do anything worthwhile. I'll get the energy cube here, as I'm not too sure what I want for my final weapon. RPG might be okay, to be fair. You know what, let's just get the RPG. Why not? It's always a sort of a strong weapon to have. It can't really go too far wrong, and it's always up there with the DPS wise. I think I'll just get the Koga Ninja Scroll as well, whilst we can get some extra experience. Then might as well get that towards the start, although we're actually probably towards the middle of this chapter now. I think it is the 8-minute stage, so there should be an enemy at the 4-minute mark there as well. I'll get the fitness guide here just so we can get the brick upgrade, the 1 iron ton. It doesn't really look like it's doing too much, I always think, but it's pretty much always at the top. If you've watched any of my previous videos and some of the damage comparisons, 1 iron ton is pretty much always number 1 in terms of the damage dealt, so definitely worth recommended that. And here I get the HE fuel. Definitely recommend the HE fuel. That increases the range of the destroyer, and that's pretty much a reason in itself to get it. Here we'll just get on the lucky train, should get the 1 iron ton from that. The 1 ton iron, I can't believe I keep saying that wrong. Let's just get the RPG there, and the RPG again. Realistically at this stage, it doesn't really matter which upgrades I get. I already feel pretty safe. I don't think anything is going to be touching me. You know, I actually thought that the stages were getting hard when I was doing some of the damage comparisons. It was getting a bit tricky, but I think this being a square stage, I think they're generally quite easy. I'm not really too sure why. I think so it does depend on what loadout and weapons you have, but I think the weapons and loadout I have here are actually very strong, so that does help. But you can see here why the laser launcher just doesn't really do any damage, as the enemies don't really get close enough. I think if it was harder and the enemies were getting closer to me, but they can't really get past the fuel barrel itself, between that and then the destroyer can shoot them when they're sort of getting closer. The laser launcher just has the shortest range, so it's just very hard for that to actually do damage. I mean, I would need to run it in the middle of the enemies. Nothing would have to kill them, and the laser launcher then would only be able to do damage. So I don't really like it. I think that we would be better off with a longer range weapon just to try and do some damage. I think I would swap the laser launcher for the drill, and that would probably be my top build, and here we'll just pick this chest up rather than standing still, and hopefully we'll get the HE fuel. We don't, we get the map, but hopefully irrelevant at this stage. We seem to have a really strong build, and we'll just keep going. Here we go, boss assault, 6-minute mark. I think this is the second to last boss. Hopefully goes down really quickly between the destroyer and the spirit shuriken. That is going to be doing the most of the damage, maybe even the RPG to be fair as well, but easy enough. We'll get the magnet, get on the lucky train, and this should be leveling us up close to being max level really, especially by the time we get to that magnet and kill that little elite boss. We'll get the HE fuel there. We actually still have quite a few upgrades that will affect all of our weapons, the attack, the HE fuel and the energy cube, but realistically we are all good, and I can't really see us being in much danger towards the end of this level. Here you can just see how strong the fuel barrel is. The enemies at the bottom, as soon as they enter the sort of fuel barrel fire, they just instantly die. I think it's at least that as well, to be fair. You can't really see because they die that quickly, but I think it must be the fuel barrel. If I move a bit further down and the sort of fire starts where they spawn, I suppose they just then spawn towards the top, but that sort of 360-degree fire around you is just one of the strongest upgrades, especially when you've got the tech part for it as well. All the ground is pretty much on fire, so enemies are just constantly taking damage, and when your attack is quite high like mine is, it does a lot of damage. So, it wasn't second to last boss, this is the second to last boss. There seems to be a lot of bosses on these sort of square stages, and the final one is at minute 8 I believe, but here we'll just get the HE fuel and kill the second to last boss. We'll get the orb one. I don't think it really matters too much. This magnet will should get us quite a lot of level ups just because there's so many gems on the floor. There it goes, so we'll just get a few of these levels, whatever it gives us. It doesn't really matter too much. I'll just click whichever my thumb is closest to the fitness guide. There it is, and then the orb one. Then now we are absolutely max level. We can get a bit more gold. I'll just get the gold from this chest as well, why not? An extra 180, why not? Here we go, last 5 seconds and the final boss. I don't really need much of these gems now, it's just extra gold, which I'm not too too bothered about, and the zombie rider should be going down pretty quickly, especially with the spirit coon. Although it does do a bit of damage to you. This seems to be the hardest enemy. I suppose it would be as the final boss, but there we go. So let's have a look at the weapons that have done the most. My money is on the Molotov itself, with the laser launcher being the worst. Spirit shuriken did the most damage, interestingly. The fuel barrel only did 10%, which I'm actually quite surprised at, with the 1 to 9 doing 27%, which again, I always think, I wonder how that's doing so much damage, but obviously the data doesn't lie. Fuel barrel 10%, but death ray at 1%, just can't seem to get that to do any amount of damage at all. But this was a really strong build. I think I would just swap the death ray for the drill, and that would be the absolute perfect build. But I think the fuel barrel, even though it's only done 10%, I think is pretty much essential for these small stages, depending on obviously your level. If you are not overpowered, then I think the fuel barrel would be relatively essential, and obviously Spirit Shuriken, Destroyer, 1 to 9 and the Shark Morgan all did their bit in completing chapter 17. So there we have it. I would avoid the death ray and get pretty much everything else, maybe swap that out for the drill, and that would be your best bet in completing chapter 17. So I hope it has been helpful. If you have enjoyed the content, please do like and subscribe. It really does help me out. I am on the journey to 1,000 subscribers so I can get part of the YouTube partner program. So yeah, thank you, and catch you in the next one. Cheers.